Right, folks, today on the show we have a legend within the Glasgow skateboarding scene and someone who's embedded into the fabric within that scene. It's our man Shug Duncan. Shug, how you doing, mate?
Good, mate. Hello, everybody. How we doing?
Good stuff. So usually I like to start at the beginning with my guests. So what was life sort of like growing up?
Uh, kind of different for me, to be honest, Blair, growing
Mm-hmm.
up, because I come from a family that's from a deaf background. So from the very offset as a child, uh, different from every other human being, I thought I was kicking around when hanging around when kids I was hanging about with. So I was very kind of insecure, quiet, and I'm not the guy I was today. Like I just talked to anybody, and like I was very introverted as a child. So,
Mm-hmm.
but apart from that, I mean, it was normal. You know, I played with Star Wars figures. I read comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Really close with my family, and yeah, nothing much.
Good stuff. Good, good. So how did you sort of get into skateboarding then?
Well, that's the thing. My neighbours that lived down the hill when I stayed in Blantyre as a kid, they were into cycling, but
Mm-hmm.
one of the brothers was two brothers, and one of the brothers had a wee polyprop kind of like fiberglass board with the fiberglass wheels,
Mm-hmm.
the old kind of like 60s, 70s style kind of like cruisers, but
Mm-hmm.
really, really small and thin
Yep.
plastic. And I seen him just kind of like messing around with it going down the hill one time from the top of the hill, and I was like, oh, that looks dangerous. You know, I wonder what that is.
Aye.
Just a little kid at the time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably be about, I don't know, it's hard to say if I was like 9 or 10 or something like that, maybe 11, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, oh, can I get a shot of that? And they were like, well, you know how to stand up on this. And I was like, oh, it's dead wobbly and that. And I'm like, oh no, and it's dead small and it felt so foreign from
Aye.
like just being on your grifter or your bike or whatever, you know. I
Aye.
was like a daredevil as a kid. I used to like do like, go no handies on my bike, you know, like on my
Aye.
grifter because it had massive balanced handles. And I used to bomb hills as a kid
Aye.
with no hands and be able to just carve my bike and turn around the side on my bike and stuff. And I'd be like, oh, this is cool. You know, I could do all that. Like, and then when I stood on this board, I was like, oh, this is scary. But it attracted to me because I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know how to do this. But I was like, oh, this is scary. And the guy said to me, just go on your butt, just go down, sit on your bum and just like lie down on it and like put your feet up on the top and just see if you can steer it going down the hill.
Aye.
So it was just this tiny, tiny board which didn't even fit me to like sit on. And that was my first experience, just bombing down this hill and like getting to the bottom and trying to turn it with my side and my body and my arse and that. And it was just so weird.
Aye.
And then I never even thought about it till like further down the line. Like I said, we were swapping comics with my mates, and my mate had a few things, and I think he had one of these Jupiter boards that was in the garage. So he had this little kind of rubbery board with rubber wheels, so this could go even faster, Blair. So the two of us would be like learning to stand on it and mess around and like be the first to see who could get down the hill without jumping off and that sort of
Aye.
stuff.
Was it
And
better?
it never really,
Mm-hmm.
I never knew it as a culture or any of that sort of stuff or what skateboarding was. It was just a toy to play about on
Mm-hmm.
till Back to the Future came out. And Marty McFly in 1985 and Back to the Future was bombing about in this big board, sketching cars and rolling about. And I was like, that's it. That's what this means. This is what this is. And I was like, that's what I want. This looks more secure because it's a big, big skateboard and it does all the things I want it to do. And I just got attracted from it straight from there. Just wanted to be Marty McFly, bombing about, catching cars and rolling about, being free.
See. Obviously, you mentioned the sort of fiberglass boards. Was that sort of like the penny boards that we have nowadays?
Yeah, exactly. Like that player penny board, but you would not have had the good wheels on it and good bearings on it at that time. It was fiberglass wheels. They weren't even rubber wheels.
Oh, so
Just like
wasn't it real?
fiberglass, dead chatty. Just goes through the stones. You just get pitched, get flung off. You know, very vibrant. Like especially when you think of that on top of a plastic board, it's like, and it's like plastic just shaking right underneath your feet.
Aye. So you're like
Really, really different.
So you're basically you're getting everything. So everything like that's on the road, you're feeling it right through your feet. It's not like it's like a urethane.
Definitely.
It's not like a
No,
urethane sort of feel.
no.
No, no. So did you feel as if obviously when you sort of got into skateboarding, when sort of Back to the Future came out, do you think that kind of brought you a bit more into a sort of extroverted sort of person? Obviously.
Yeah, well, I kind of started making more friends because there's more kids around my age and a bit younger. All started. It was a boom. Back to the Future brought skateboarding boom into like the culture, you know, for us growing up in our era. And all the kids in the street were all had boards. We all wanted American skateboards. Oh, we wanted the big rubber wheels. We wanted the cool looking graphics and stuff like that. Even if we didn't know anything about it, a lot of the kids. So there was like 4 or 5 kids I started to like hang about with and talk to more and like just because we had a massive estate and we had a lot of hills on our estate, so it was really the best place to like learn. To bomb down hills and stuff like together and stuff. So yeah, it did make me a bit more like socially like easier to like speak to people and bring out myself a little bit more and realise that there's these people here are a bit more like me.
Yeah, was it basically the San Francisco of Glasgow when you sort of had the big hills and stuff?
Yeah, there's hills there. Like I used to bomb as a kid. I probably even do now. Though. I don't know, if I went back to my old school, like back up there, I'd be like, you know, I went back to my old house or something, and like bombed the hills I used to bomb as a kid. I'd look at it now probably and be like, oh my god, am I actually going to do this? And I would do it, but I would probably be like a lot like concerned about how I would get to the bottom. You know,
maybe taking like 3 stages or something like that.
Yeah, you could just go in stages, but as a kid, you're fearless, innit? You're just like, oh, just jump on this and I'll just see how far it takes me, you know?
I know. So has the group which you originally sort of skated with sort of changed much from your original days to what the sort of group is you sort of skate with now?
Yeah, definitely. Like 2 or 3 different groups. So like the very first group is, like I say, is the ones hanging about that from my actual estate where I stayed in. I was like the only one really after that. There was a couple of good skaters, but they weren't into it the same. They get into other things. They get into like growing up, doing drugs, girlfriends, all that sort of stuff. Or just into music. There was a couple of brothers, and one was really good on vert. And like we didn't have ramps, so like we had to seek out the ramps. We had to go different places. Like we went to Coat Bridge and all that, and different places like that. Their parents had cars, so they drove us places, and we went to like find things. Went to Rutherglen one time, just down the road, to this mini ramp. It was the first ramp I ever dropped in on. So I was skating with different people. But I was always like outside my front on my curb, like just doing pivots and doing all sorts of street stuff and messing around on hydrants and bonelessing off like the top of like the electric boxes and all that sort of stuff. And just, you know, you don't really need other people. You were just more like, if they were there, yeah, cool. But if they weren't, I was like, okay, I'm just going out to learn. I'm just going to like practice all these things that I want to do.
100%. Obviously, sort of, I mean, you get this within, I think, every skateboarder that's done the sport for like a certain amount of years. You obviously get people that sort of come and go from the scene as well.
Oh yeah. I've seen a lot. I've seen like 2 or 3 different generations like come and go. Like I said, the original generation of me, nobody. The older guys like I used to look up to, I didn't get into those crews because I was like the Grom, and they were like the guys with the wheel boards, the guys like Stephen Robertson, Robo, and big Rab McMahon. Rab was like a guns. He was like just this guy that came out best style, just could do anything. Really nice guy. Hang out with the older guys, but they were the older guys. You're like, oh, no, I don't really want to hang out with those guys. These guys are intimidating. No, they're like the punk rock guys. They're like the total, they're the hardcore. You know, you're just a wee Grom, and they're the guys that can skate. You know. I seen Robo Stephen Robertson the first ever time. I seen the very first ever pro board. He did a boneless in this little bank right across from my house, and it was like the graphic on the bottom was the very first one I'd ever seen. It was a pro graphic of Jeff Grosso. Rest in peace, Jeff Grosso, with the toy box graphic, Santa Cruz graphic, the iconic one. That was the first ever pro graphic I'd seen on a board, and I was like, oh, that guy's gnarly, man. This thing's, you know, his board looks scary. He looks scary. He looks freaking, you know, determined. And I was like, oof, these guys are intimidating, you know, jumping off fly. And they would make a ramp and bring it out to my street and like skate outside my street because we'd smooth streets or whatever. From the estate they stayed across the fence from, like they would bring their stuff and like start skating it, and so you try to join in with them and like skate with them and like be like, you know, looking up to these guys, you know.
That's class, man. Like,
some of them are great too.
I mind my grandpa. This was a couple of years back. We found he sort of found like a wooden pallet. I think it was in his old church, and we basically found. I think he found spare bits of plywood. And then he bought a strip of angle iron, and we just screwed it all down to this pallet. And I just in my back garden, there was this like wee patio bit, running bit, and I was just practicing grinds all day. It was class.
That's it. We had creative, artistic people. Like me mate Gary from my first place where I stayed at home, just growing up, beginning skating like in the early 80s. Is like his neighbour was like into art. He did like die cast figures or Judge Dredd. He was into his comics and all that. But he would help like make the fly-off ramps and all that as well, and he would put own designs on his grip tape and all that. He would get sticky sticks boards, so they would get the cheaper boards at a quarterback, which weren't the pro boards, but they were the blanks, but they were concaved. So all you had to do is get a shape, and the shop would put the shape around it, and then you'd go home and you would cut up yourself. So he would do all that. Big Scott Burgess would be like sawing away and making shapes for himself, and you were watching that and you were around all that, and then like creating the transitions to make jump ramps. It was like a jump ramp era. You're talking 85 onwards for like before 90s. It's like all this like doing Japan airs, airwalks and grabs and method airs. You're trying to recreate all the vert stuff off the kickers, off like what you would call kickers now, but they were like jump ramps. They were proper like transition. You would make them steep. So you would basically fly off and grab. You wouldn't ollie, you'd be like just doing grabs, like grabbing your board with the rails and doing methods and indies and mutes. I mean, I used to do mute grabs and all that sort of stuff. Like stuff. What about doing that now? I'd be like, nah, I can't even reach down my board to do that, man. You kidding?
Nice one, man. Nice one. So I take it the sort of style. Obviously, you've sort of seen it when you sort of say the Jeff Grosso graphic. Obviously,
Man, yeah.
that sort of
Punk
type
rock.
that sort of type of board. I said, take it the style's completely sort of changed now.
Yeah, it wasn't my thing. I wasn't into music. Obviously, I grew up with music, but having parents that were deaf, I was like, not wasn't around a lot of music, so that never really kind of like intrigued me. It was more like the graphics, the style of like how people looked, what they were wearing. It was just so different. It was America, you know what I mean? It was exotic. It was like, oof, these are Americans. You know, we don't know what Americans are. What are these people? You know, this idyllic lifestyle that's so different from us. Everyone's bigger, you know, everyone's brighter, and everyone's warmer, and all that sort of stuff. Better weather. So we were just kind of like, oh, we want to be like the Americans, you know. That's just basically that's what we, because skateboarding was America. That's just what we thought, you know, at that time. So it's American culture. So it's like punk rock, thrash, and all this stuff that didn't really exist in our circles, you know.
I'm trying to think who else. Like, you would have like, because like back then it was mainly like, I remember at the start, like it was when skateboarding first took off. It was sort of, they'd done it with like the sort of slalom runs. And then they kind of done it with like the pools, and they would like skate pools and stuff like that.
Yeah, the pool stuff with the Dogtown guys, that was the real deal. That was like the punk rock, like we're going to learn to fly out of a pool and not know what's going to happen, kind of thing. And then you had the slalom, the freestyle, which was more the sports kind of like aesthetic, which like the jocks kind of like the creative artists. But they were like the weaker subjects, you know. They weren't like the cool guys. The cool guys were the guys who were smoking fags and doing the drink and just like going out and just like cruising pools and like hurting themselves, come up with bloody scabs and all that, and not caring, you know, like F the world kind of thing, F society, F culture, you know, like we don't need the establishment. They were like total punk rock, you know.
Because like the slalom folk, they always kind of wore like the tennis gear, the hat, the short shorts,
yeah.
socks.
Those guys were like the rich kind of like, you think, privileged kind of like lifestyle of like just. Well, we're doing our own wee thing, you know, this is just fun, we're having fun. These guys are like, we make a statement, we're like, whoa, we hate everything, you know. That's basically what those guys were doing, isn't it?
It's like independent. I remember, I think there was an advert that was like, skate the best, fuck the rest. Like, it was just...
Yeah, that's the whole ethos of that, isn't it? It's that Thrasher's that, isn't it? It's sort of punk rock ethos of like, we are not the establishment, no matter what, you can't put us into this box, we are not a box, you know. We're outside of this box and much more, you know.
Defos, man, defos. So, like, sort of doing that, obviously skateboarding and that over the years, do you think it's gave you a mental release as well?
That's a hard thing to say, you know. It's like, I think in the beginning, yeah, obviously it is. It's like just something you're doing for fun, and then you want to get good at it, and then it can become serious. To a lot of people, I think they take it too serious sometimes. And I think it's a good thing if you want to like put that out there that you're trying to do your best, and that's what people want to see. And especially nowadays with social media and all that sort of stuff, it's like everybody's competing with each other themselves to like showcase what they can do in their head. It's this whole creative artistic process I've got up here that they want to put on a canvas outside at the world, and it can make you feel great, and it can also like take you right down as well, Blair. Like if you've been trying something for ages, and you can go home and you can just be like, oh my god, why did I not do that? You know, you're overthinking it. You go home and you be like, I should have just done this, or have I just done that, or why did I even keep doing? Why did I not just change it? Sometimes I go home like, why did I try this line for so long, and then I go, why did I not just change a line? Why did I not just do this instead, or that instead? Why did I stick at this for so long, knowing it's not going to work? It's like you're not going to give up. So it's like you have this mentality of like, yeah, I don't care if this isn't going to work. I'm going to just keep doing this until it does work. I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to that's like quitting or giving up. But then as you get older, you kind of like find out that you don't have to do that. You can sometimes change it, and sometimes it's better. Something that works out so much better, Blair, if you change it. And then it just something you can even do something you never thought you were going to do, 100%. And it surprises you even you, and you go, wow, that actually looks better. It feels better. It's all about feeling anyway. It's about how it feels to you when you're doing it. Other people see it extensively, but it's not how it feels to you. Is what matters. You're not doing it for other people looking at it and go, that looks good, or like, but that's the difference with the whole social media growing up. I didn't know how I looked for a long time. I didn't know what I looked like when I skated. And I think it's a good thing, and it's also a bad thing, because if you're having fun and it looks great and you see it back, you go, oh my god, that looked terrible. That looks terrible. That didn't even look good. The landing on that's terrible, but it might have felt amazing to you, you know. And you just go, wow, that just takes that whole feeling away. So there's a mental issue with that as well. Like, you have to be comfortable within your own skin, which takes a long time, I think, to like come round to like realising you're not always going to get it all your own way, sort of thing. So you just have to take roll with the punches, as they would say, you know.
Take the good with the bad sort of thing.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, like, see, obviously, when I skateboard, I just I think it's such a mental sport as well because.
Oh, it's all mental because you're so tired after it as well. Mentally, you can't think about anything after. My wife's like, you can't even answer a question. You can't even. It's like your head's just. It's gone. You've used the battery up in you like so much sometimes.
I know. I always think as well, like, it's such a mental sport as well. Like, for you actually to do some tricks sometimes. Because I always think, see, the best switch tricks I've landed, so like, say for instance, like switching nollie, so like if I land a nice, say if I land like a nollie flip or I land a switch flip, I don't, it's the point where I try the trick and don't think about doing the trick that I actually like land it and make it look good.
That's what we're looking for, that zen state of just rolling around and not really. Sometimes you're like 3 tricks ahead because, like, if you're in a line, like filming or something, you could first 5 tricks are just coming because all you want's that last one, and you're in that state. But it doesn't even matter anymore. Those first 3 or 4 tricks are just going to happen all the time anyway because all you're thinking about is that last one that's stopping you, and you don't even think about the rest. You're just getting to the end. So it's when you're in that zen state like that, it's very rare, but it does occur sometimes, and that's what you live for. You have those days and you're like, oh, that's amazing, I wish I could just do that all the time.
Yeah.
And then you realise you can't have that all the time, you know.
I know. I remember,
some people get once or twice in their life, you know.
I mean,
feel like that.
Because I remember even when I was younger, like we used to go out and film and that, like, this was maybe like back in 2012, 2013, 2014, we used to go like summers and that when I was in school. Just go out of town, just skate, like get clips, stack clips. And like I remember I made a summer edit and I done a 50-50 front shove out on, you know, the bottom step at KG. And I see when I landed it, I was like, this is so, like, I was like, yeah, like, it felt so good.
I'm the man.
And then
Who's watching me? You're like, did you see that? Deep down inside, you're like, I hope somebody's seen that. They might never see it again.
After I was sitting there, I was like I watched it back, I was like, because I don't really have style. You know, when people skate and they have style, they make tricks look good, sort of thing. Whereas I don't. I didn't really have like much style, but I remember like landing it and rolled away. I was like, I felt class, but like.
But then you have the other side of that. You have some people who look as if they have no style, but that is their style. Like, they fall out of something, and that's what makes it look good. You know, like it could be sketchy. In some eyes, people are going, that's sketchy. But some other people, it's like, well, that was so stylish because they're hanging on and they're living it. You know. Yeah,
I know, 100%.
It's subjective, isn't it? It's so subjective. And then you always look into yourself and you see the worst. You don't look at yourself and go like, oh, that's amazing, I look great. You know, nah. You look at yourself and you're like, what can I do that looks better than what it did before? You know.
Your worst critic. Your worst critic at times in the sport, man. I definitely think that.
You're definitely.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, do you think it's skateboarding sort of made a positive impact on young people's life? Especially, obviously, I think I've seen it this year. Just sort of during lockdown, like, more people have kind of came to the park. They've not say maybe went out on the nights out on the booze or whatnot. I think like a lot more people have sort of gotten into it.
Yep. Well, I can't speak for the parks, but I can speak for the streets because, like, I'm staying away from the parks because of the COVID rules and all that. And I'm being a bit older and my job and all that. I've got to be safe, and I've got to be safe for other people as well, and stick to the same bubbles and all that sort of stuff. But in the streets, it's more rewarding anyway, player. You know, I've been in the park for so long and done the same things. I feel like when I go to Kelvin Grove now, it's like I'm just recreating like the same stuff. It's like I need to try and do something different and feel something different these days. But yeah, in the streets, I see people rolling around everywhere, and I'm like, oh, what's up? And look, some people will be like, oh yeah, cool. You're another skater. Some people are like, who the fuck's that? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, whoa, like, we're skaters. We're the same, brother, you know, they're the same person, you know, like, what's up? And they don't get it, you know, like, they're just zooming by and they're like, who's that guy, you know what I mean? And I say to people, I'm working with, what's up with these people? Like, what's going on? It's just so different. Because before it was a minority, so we all knew each other, all in the same struggle, the same fight. So when you see somebody, you give them a nod, you know, you see their shoes, they're all bruised up, you're like, he's a skater, you know, like, what's up, dude, you know? And they'll just be like, yeah, you too, and then just walk on. You don't even need to say hello or anything. It's just that thing, that mutual respect, you know?
100%.
But it's good. I've seen skaters everywhere all over town. Like, I've seen, like, there's so many different crews now, especially around the likes of Goma. Goma's been overtaken by, like, the Four Corner kids, all the golf kids, and they're all skating, and there's some rad skaters in there too, you know? It's like a new scene in there.
I know.
Taking over my playground, Blair. Taking over my playground.
That's it. No, but like, I mean, to be fair, I've actually heard that, like, the boys that went into town from like like my local sort of in Glen.
Yeah.
The boys that went into town have said like, oh, like some of the guys at Goma are like doing like triple flips and stuff like that, like just like crazy shit.
I was playing skate with one of the kids who was like, "Oh, my dad used to skate for with a local NBC," and I was like, "I probably know him." He's like, "Yeah, he probably knows who you are." Like, and I was like, "Geez, you know what I mean? I'm skating with this guy's kid, you know." And I'm like, "Wow, what world, you know?"
100%. And I obviously think, talking back to that point, I think it is definitely in Glasgow. There is like quite a bit of I've heard that as well for people who like skateboard in Glasgow. That like I've maybe skateboarded in America before and then kind of moved to Glasgow.
Yeah.
That is definitely that sort of sense of community, I think, about it, which is good.
I think we all kind of know each other. We'll try to like kind of like stay, because like we say, we're in the fight together. We're in the same kind of thing, you know. We're not really like revered around the world as the best skaters or anything, that sort of thing. So we've got our own kind of community vibe, and we keep it kind of like tight with each other, and we try and support each other. Even if it's like, oh, that's the competition, we still support the competition because there isn't enough of us, you know, still.
Because it'll egg you on eventually, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
So, favourite park, what would be your favourite park be?
For me, it just probably laziness effectively. I would just obviously say Kelvin Grove, because it's based on like Bristol Square from the 90s, where it's like all in the middle, like it's a big circle where I just like to cruise around the circle and hit the ledges at each side. If I want to cruise a bit over the tranny, it's there in the corner. Nothing's all in the middle. It's got a floor where I can go around in a circle doing my lines. It's got handrail at the top. It's got the kicker at the top. It's got the community, which is cool. It's got all the rad skaters as well, skate good, and it's just like the hub, innit? So it's like that's my local. So I would have to say Kelvin Grove.
I had
you know.
Do you know? You've probably skated with him before. Ewan Gamolka. I don't know if you've. He's
maybe I'll know the face, but I don't know that name.
I'll link you the podcast. I done a podcast with him like I think it was maybe August time, but he said the exact same Kelvin Grove, but he sort of said when it's like not too busy, when it's just like right. It's like sort of best place to skate. Obviously,
it can be like totally like during the day when it's like kid central for like kids just play area, you know, and you're like, oh, it's not play area, kids, watch out, you know.
I know. But like, I mean, like, to be fair, I wouldn't mind if kids came to the skate park and they had their wits about them, sort of thing. If they had their wits about them.
I think that's down to us, though, that's down to us, because that's how the older generations treated us. You know, it's like tough love. You have to like learn from others, and you're only going to learn from your peers. You're not going to learn from your parents and things like that, because you're just like, nah, don't tell me what to do. But if they respect somebody else who's older, or they're in fear, or like, oh, this guy's, I better watch my way, you know. And then you turn around and go, look, this is what you do, this is not what you do, and take them under your wing a little bit more, and like show them what needs to be done. Sometimes you can call them out. You need to call them out, like, oh, get those headphones off, man. Like, you're jumping out in a busy park and you've got these AirPods in, trying to be cool. Yeah, man, that's not cool, you know.
Because I suppose in that sense, you sort of grow the scene and make it sort of bigger in that sense if you take them under your wing, because they would look up to you and sort of say, right, okay.
Yeah, well, that's it. And I also think that's to the detriment. Not like, say, a lot of my older friends who are like, they don't skate no more is because they don't have anybody to skate with, or I don't know their situations a lot of the time. Did they just quit because they thought they got old, or they're just not into it anymore? But if you treat the people who are going to be the future, when you think you're the hot shit and all the rest of it, and I won't name names, but I've seen it, you know, and I was never that guy, and they respect you when you're older.
100%,
and then when you're older and they are the hot shit, they're looking at you going, you're a fucking dick towards me, you know what I mean? Like, why the fuck would I speak to you? Why would I even like want to take anything to do with you? Why would I be interested in anything you do? And you know, it comes back to bite you, you know what I mean?
100%, man, 100%. So moving on from favourite park, what's your favourite spot in town?
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's a hard one. There's a few. My favourite one, I would probably say, is Goma, because I like skating Goma, because like if I go there on my own, I know there'll be somebody else there. There'll be a different scene. Or if I'm there myself, I can just get tuned in and just skate the ledges and jump out the background at the kickers and just mess around. It's an open space. I can go around in circles. I can hit different ledges. I can hit different stairs. There's the manny bit. There's,
100%.
you know, and just the passing. It's always busy, so you feel like you're in the streets. You're part of a busy vibe with folk just all wandering about. And sometimes you're like, yeah, I'll get in this guy's wood, you know, like just the punk in me is like, yeah, I know I'm going to do this, but I can just like skate by some guy's girlfriend walking by, and I'll just be like, go by and like, watch out, you're in my space, you know.
He's giving me a dirty look.
It's busy. You got to have your wits about you in that spot, you know.
100%. Yeah, I mean, like skating that sort of growing up, when we'd always used to go into town, it was always like, right, where are we going first? We'll hit up Goma, and then
it's a good meet-up spot too, isn't it? It's a link-up place, isn't it?
Because it's between, obviously, it's because it's between Central and Glasgow Queen Street.
Yeah, of course.
So
And if
for
you
people
could
that are
link up.
maybe coming a further distance
Yeah.
from Glasgow, it's
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
so ideal.
And it's quite good to look at too. It's aesthetically pleasing with like the monument stuff with the cone and stuff at the little ledge bit at the end and all that. It's like pure iconic, innit? So you're at the Goma Art Galleries as well, so you realise what you're doing is art form, you know.
Mm-hmm. And then
And
like
you've been close to that art, you know.
Yeah, and that's like a tourist attraction as well for people that aren't from Glasgow.
Yeah.
So
and I'd imagine it's like skateboard tourism as well. Like if you're going to go, like you probably go, oh, that's a spot where a lot of people hang out, so we'll go there and see what's happening to the kids there. And and link up with people there. It's easy to do that. Or the Transport Museum, but the Transport Museum's kind of later on down the line. I like it. It's too far away to go to sometimes for me when I come into town. It's like, oh my God, it's another bus journey out to there. And it's windy because of the sea. It's amazing. I prefer the front ledges. I like the bit around the side. It's more of a skate park, but since they made it into the skate park, it kind of took a bit away from me. Like, I could have just left it like a bit of the street that you could skate around the side, like a plaza, but it turned into skate park. And yeah, it's all good, but it gets too congested because it's too small, you know?
Yeah, 100%, man. I quite liked I went to skate there. I think it was a month ago, 2 months ago, maybe. And I like the sort of bank that has the like sort of curb at the top. I love skating.
I like skating that bank bit, but I don't hit the bit at the curb at the top. I need to try and learn to skate that bit more.
Definitely, man. So obviously, sort of moving on from favourite part to favourite spot. What do you sort of prefer to skate, park or street skating?
Oh, that's no question. It'll be the streets for me, definitely. The streets have got so many options. Sometimes you're feeling like jumping on a ledge. Sometimes you'd be like, nah, I don't really feel like grinding on top of a ledge. Feels a bit high for me today. I'll just mess around on the flat ground. I'll find a bit that looks like a manny spot or do whatever. Just mess around, you know. But yeah, there's a bit of them. There's stairs you want to jump, you know. There's so many more options. Wally off the side of a wall with your foot or something. Just like, I'll do half a wally bean plant thing for mess around, you know. Like, yeah.
That's mad, man. That's mad. Yeah, because even when obviously you obviously well know him, Stuart Cheng, the Cheng brothers.
Yeah.
Skate,
those kids are amazing.
You're
still skating, yeah.
Still skate, man. Still skate.
Still a looking great or anything.
Yeah. But like Stuart still he's still got the style, like no fear, like just jumping off stuff.
He's getting older as well, so like either you just keep on to that or you just don't let it ever go away, sort of thing. If you just keep doing something, then you shouldn't be that scared as much.
Because I think he's done the stair set at Goma. Do you know the big, like, I think it's 10 or 11 set, man? Like
the borders one at the side. The borders books one. Yeah, that's huge, isn't it?
The old borders books. I think it's like an Italian.
Yeah. That's what it's called, though, isn't it? It's borders steps.
Borders steps, man. Borders. That's decent. So if you had any advice for people considering to start skateboarding, what would it sort of be?
I would say actually look back at your history as well. Look back and see what it's all about from the very beginning. Cruise around. Don't learn tricks. Don't try and be the next guy who's doing the next double dolphin flip and all this kind of thing. Just, you know what I mean? Just cruise around, man. Like, have fun. Learn to turn. Learn to push. Like you say, style. That only comes from, like, learning the basics. You don't know learning the basics, you're not really going to have much fun because it takes so much time to learn. No matter how good you are, skateboarding's not easy, and all those hard tricks are not easy to do, and definitely not easy to make look good for anyone to even take an interest in them. Okay, you're doing them for yourself or something, but like you could go to that park and like you could make 10 friends just going around, just doing like a tail slide or a nose slide or something. Soon as you start doing this double dolphin nonsense, these guys might just be like, this guy, fuck man, I don't fucking fuck with this guy. I mean, like speak to him, you know what I mean? Because that's you just came out and that's just what you're doing. You might not be able to push. You might just be like all ugly with your like stance, no balance. And, you know, kids are cruel. I've been there. I've been one myself to know that that's not the way you act. As an adult, different, you know. But as a child, I can see it through the child's eyes, like what they're thinking or what they're seeing, you know. So I would say have fun and not really try and impress people. Try and realise that it's something that you have to have inside of you, that it's like always want to strive to be better. But at the same time, it's not competition. It's such a weird thing to explain, isn't it? It's just it's a lifestyle. It's the way you approach everything that you do in your life. I think you know, it's a determination inside your body and inside your mind to want to do something.
Because I mean, like, see for instance, like Mark Gonzalez, like obviously, he's just like
still the best.
He's still the best, but like I mean, he's
invented so much stuff. Like all those years ago, he invented switch skating when nobody even knew what switch skating was. Nobody even knew what he was doing. he was in the blind video and folk are going, this is the other way round, and they're like, oh, this is switch. You'd be like, oh shit, half of this video part's switch and we didn't even notice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He still jumps down massive rails now. He's about 50 odds or something. He can just take a big cruisy board and whatever longboard and jump down a handrail. Do you know what I mean?
Like,
no limits. Skateboarding should be something that's no limits. If that's what you want from it, it should be trying to challenge all the fears and get rid of the fear and just being saying like, okay, I can do all of this. I am capable of doing all of this if I want to do it. Only if you want to do it. Don't want to do it, it's not your thing. You don't have to. But people seem to think, oh, I have to do this. I have to jump this handrail. I have to like do this certain trick. No. I mean, if somebody's already doing that, why don't you do something different?
100%.
You know,
yeah.
Because we try and emulate, but that's cool. But like, you get to a stage when you get too much, you get to an age where it's like, okay, you can't just keep trying to be your favourite pro. You know what I mean?
You just
you've got to find out who you are as a person, and that comes with life and just growing up in general. And that's when style comes into it. You develop your style over time. You're not going to be the most stylish person right from the beginning. But like I say, do the basics, do the homework, do the history, watch your videos, watch all the old videos. Some of the old videos will give you more of a feeling to go out skate than what those new ones will.
100%. Like, to be honest, so like sort of going back to the point that you were talking about, like someone like coming into the park doing a double dolphin flip. I mean, like, if someone was to come in and do that, I'd feel quite intimidated. I'd be like, he's too good. Like, he was sit and judge me doing like a kickflip or like a switch heel. Like,
that's your mentality. My mentality would be like, oh, he did the double dolphin flip. We can't push worth a fuck. What the hell?
I suppose, man.
I'd be like, I'll just go over and be like, look, you need to chill out a bit, you know? Let me come. Listen those trucks a little or something, you know what I mean?
100%, man. So obviously, sort of moving on, you were kind of involved quite a bit with Haim Skateboards back in the day. How did that come about?
That was Pete Kelly and Chris. That was the old friends from years ago. And I think Chris just was getting back into skating, and he just wanted to do something for the scene and do something for himself and his friends and just see what they could do and push their own brand as such to keep themselves skating as well as much as anything else.
Yep. So what did it have, like, it was an acronym or that? Did it stand for anything, Haim?
Well, Haim's slang for home, innit? It's like Glaswegian for saying I'm going Haim, I'm going home. So I think that's where it kind of came from. You would have to ask Pete Kelly or Chris that, but I'm sure that's pretty much the basis of it.
Yeah. So I mind I bought a Haim board off you back in the day. Thinking back, I think I met you in Central Station, was it? And I came in, I was needing a new board. I was like, oh, Shug, can you sort me out? He's like, it's like 40 quid, mate, it'll be sound. I was like, oh, at least I'll support something local. I think
that's it. It's to get kids to support something local that they didn't have at the time. They didn't have anything at the time. At that point, there was no competition with anybody else at the time. Homework wasn't about, I don't think.
So I suppose the ideal time to kind of...
Yeah, well, at the time for those guys, I think it was. But it's hard, like you say, these things are hard. Nobody wants to like support these local brands when they're out looking for the next FA and Polar and all these like bigger brands, which is fair enough. That's what you want to support because that's what you should support. You know, those are the guys doing the job correctly. You know.
That's like talking about FA. That's that like see some of their videos. I watch them and I get pretty stoked in skating. Like
of course.
I think it was a 30-minute one that just came out the other month. And it was just like some of the tricks, man. Like the way that the camera angle's shot, and like it's just mad. Like you've got like you know how you know there's a
put that old filter on it as well to make it look it's more grainy or older with all that Anthony Van England footage on that recent one as well. So it's just getting filmed like for an old VX or something like that, so it just look like it's all grainy and like worn down kind of. Amazing.
I'm pretty sure there's one point in it. It was like you know like the sort of barriers you get in sort of like motorways and stuff. And there's like one of the guys, like there's a wee ramp kicker before it. A guy comes up and possible flips over it, but like just before it, you just see his eye looking through the hole, and then it just zooms out to him. That's just like, how would you think of it, like to film it like that?
Yeah, the more creative, artistic medium in it. Like the filmmakers are getting more of a voice now to like create these kind of characters and make everything more personalised.
Yeah.
Well, like personality sells, you know what I mean? It's all about your personality. You could be the best skater. Like I says, the guy's doing the double dolphin flip, but he could have a shit personality, you know what I mean?
100%, man.
It's a package of everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everybody's looking at it now.
I know. So how did the sort of Shug out trick come about?
Well, the Shug out thing isn't a trick. It's the actual coming out of a trick. Coming out of any trick. It's that whole... The arm comes up and lies out. It was Pete and Colin Kennedy, my good friends. Yeah. Because I think it was Colin that actually probably quoted the Shug out on the hashtag from Instagram at the beginning. But it's like Mark Johnson has the MJ steez where he comes out with his shoulders and his arm. It's like, just you come out of tricks and you don't know what you're doing. Like you're landing them when you're blanking out, and my arm just raises up, and I'm like, oh fuck, here it goes again. I don't even like it. You know what I mean? It's just it's a joke now, but it's just that sometimes you just do something and that's your style. That's the way. It's like the afterbang, the steez out of a trick. It's just your way of holding on and showing people that this is you holding on for dear life, sort of thing. Or you're stoked, and it's like, oh, the arm comes out and the hand comes up, and people's like, what is it you're doing with that arm? I'm going to fucking cut that off.
Brilliant, man.
And I couldn't even realise, and I was watching it, and I was like, oh, fuck, yeah, that's right. Look at this. What the fuck am I doing? It just kind of became a joke from then on, and now it's just this thing, you know.
Good stuff. So, filming for Catching 40, what was the sort of hardest sort of trick to land, did you think?
I had to think, you sent me this question the other day, and I was thinking about that, and I was like, really, I wanted to phone Kashif up as well to ask him what he thought, what was the hardest to film. So you should maybe get him on this and like have a conversation with him about it at some point. But the very last trick at the end of the credits definitely would have been the hardest trick, because everybody was like, oh, the last trick was basically like the front board slide 270 out.
Yeah. On
the ledge.
Yeah.
The banger at the end. I just learnt that just recently, so I was just like doing it quite a lot, and it continued to work, and I was like, okay, this is happening, it's fine, it's not a problem. Nah, it was the fakey tray flip out of that mad flip bit up at the corner uni where you pop up, and it's got that kind of banked kind of angle that you have to like roll up and then come back down fakey through the bank and fakey tray flip off the curb. But it was a run up. The actual roll out from the fakey tray flip to land on was the worst. I think I went back to that 3 times to do that. So that was the most I'd been back to get a trick, was that spot for that trick. And I'm still not the greatest at fakey 360 flip. I can do them. I used to do them years ago on small boards. When I got on the bigger boards, I was like, oh, fakey three flips aren't working as good. I can still do them, but they're not in my bag consistent. Like if you want to play a game, do a fakey three flip, I'm going to probably not do it. Do you know what I mean? So there's one for your arsenal. Do you know what I mean? If you want to like get a letter on me, people know the tricks. You know, people know the weaknesses. The weaknesses are there. You know. But I battled it and I got it, and I think at the very end you see me like, see, I was here for fucking days and throwing my board about, and I'm like, I told you I would do it. It's just because the whole aesthetic of that place was so rough. You know, like it's cool to go up that bank and carve up that bank and get your speed to come back down fakey, because you have to make sure you hit the carve right coming back down fakey, because it's so tight, it's so weird. And then the ground coming away from it, there's like a hydrant, a stank, and it's just all rough ground. So when you have to land, you're trying to land proper, perfect on your feet, so you'll roll away clean. Especially when you're filming, you want to try and land everything proper. Especially when you're in man cash. When you man cash, it's like, oh, toe drag, this, that. You know, it's not even that. You even land clean, and it's like, you rolled out funny. You know, like your trucks didn't roll out right or something. You're like, what the fuck? You're just like, what? This is so like crazy. Like at this level, it has to look so much better than what it should be. You know?
Yeah.
But that'd have been the hardest, I would have said.
Because you want to get every trick bolts if you're filming for something, don't you?
That filming, man, like Instagram filming, fun. You don't care, you know. You can do what you want, you know. Like and you can look it back and you can be like, oh, it's fun. Who cares? If people like it, they don't like it. I'll wait for the crap comments. I don't even care anymore. But like, you're filming for a project and you're putting that out there. That's who you are. Yeah, definitely. It's a different thing, and it's a different mindset as well. And some people have it, and some people don't. And some people get crushed by it, and some people just deal with it. Like I say, you roll with the punches. Good days and bad days.
100%, man. 100%.
Going back to things like being like, I know, like Louis Ross, a jacket skates for Camel, is amazing. He rarely says he'll ever go back for a trick. If he tries it that day and it doesn't happen, he's like, that's it, I'm over it. It's done. I'm not doing it again. I'll go somewhere else. I'll do something different. But I'm like, nah, I'm not. I'm got to go back to that. I've got to prove to myself that I can. It's this, I don't know, self-worth battle that you have. You know what I mean?
It's like going back to that point where it's a mental sport.
Yeah, definitely.
So did you get, so obviously from Catching 40 plus Catching 40 coming out, did you get a positive response from the video?
Well, if you've seen the Shug Life documentary that came after that, premiere was mad insane, and I've been to a lot of premieres. I've been around a lot of the industry stuff growing up, and not saying it, oh, it's my premiere, it was the best, but the vibe it had and the response at the end and the absolutely going mental, like, I thought it was going to be a riot. I really did. I said that in the documentary. I was like, this place is going to be a riot, man. Like, everybody's just going nuts, throwing stuff about, jumping about mad. And it was like, it wasn't even that good. It was just like skating. It's just me skating. It's nothing great. I was like, what the fuck? This is mad. I just couldn't even accept it. But at the same time, after it, I'm like, wow, that was probably one of the best moments in my skateboarding life, you know, like to have seen that response like that. I couldn't have asked for anything more.
Did you sort of think that was at your pinnacle, your skateboarding, or would you say it would have
Nowhere
been...
near it. No, wait till this new video comes out I'm doing with Kashif. It's so much better. We're filming so much better. Better tricks, better lines, better thought out stuff. Yeah, way better. But like, it's just the vibe and the feel at the time. Just telling people when you turn 40, it's a big deal for a man to turn 40 and still be doing this, you know. As a human being, a lot of things change. Definitely. People get older, and a lot of people don't skate in their 30s, never mind their 40s, do you know what I mean? So it proves to people that like go, I'm out here, I'm doing this. Nobody's out in the street. Most of these older guys are like, oh yeah, I'll go to the park, it's safer, I'm not going to get hurt out here. I can just cruise around, have fun. I don't have to be in the streets with all these kids. Like, I don't know, some of them feel like embarrassed to hang around with younger kids, like being out in the streets with them. I've had this conversation with Kashif and we're just like, what is it? What's the problem with like putting yourself out there with other people to see it when you could go to a busy park, do the same thing, but there's loads of other people sitting there still seeing you doing it. So what's the difference between doing it in the street and they're like, oh, I don't want anybody to see me fall, I don't want anybody to see me like skating about these kids, why am I embarrassed of this and that? And I'm like, it's never had it in my head, just never grew up that way. So I've just been like, I was too old to skate when I was 16, man. Like, they used to, back in the days when we used to go into town, you get chased with mean heads and gangsters and all the rest of it because your trousers were too big. The guys in the street, they would shout at you like, pull your trousers up, you faggot, you're gay, look at state, you know that. Chasing after you and all that. Like, skateboarding was not cool, Blair. Not cool at all. And like, you were a target. Serious, like anything that was different like that, it was a target. Somebody would just see it and they would just call it out in the middle of the street, easy. So now it's so much easier. You don't even get any hassle at all like that. It's so much more different. It's so much easier on those younger, and I'm glad it's so much easier on those people because we had to do some rough stuff for you guys just to roll around, man, and just be free. See, like, you don't realise how much kind of like persecution we took. Yeah. Unless you were there, it's crazy.
Because I suppose I definitely think obviously with Instagram coming into the scene, and then like I think there's like people, those like younger folk that come down to Root and Glen now. That maybe start like 15, 16, but they're really just kind of into they're just really kind of into skateboarding through TikTok and the clout and stuff like that.
Are they doing like TikTok videos and skating? I'm really going that now for like TikTok videos. I'm not doing no dancing or anything like that though. Do you know what I mean?
I know. It's totally. That's probably just giving it that sort of platform for it to be popular and to be accepted in society. I think.
And they wearing like the expensive Air Jordans when they skate, and the Versace and all those different like Louis Vuitton skate shoes and stuff like that. They're wearing all the really expensive skate shoes while looking down.
Do you see a few people sometimes skate Macba in Barcelona and they skate it in like Air Maxes and stuff just for for the absolute like
the swag.
Just
you see what I can do this, man. I seen Henry Sanchez with a front blunted Pier 7 when I was in there in the 90s and a pair of Timberlands, Blair, on somebody else's board. He just borrowed somebody's board up. He was walking by. I don't know if he's come back to his work or what he was doing. Pair of like, big fat Timberlands. He did a front blunt like on a massive ledge in Timberlands, and I was just like, what the fuck? And I was just like, if you can do that on that, you can do it with anything. So I was just in my head, it's like, it's that other thing of like pushing yourself and being like, let's just do it with whatever we're wearing. It doesn't matter if I'm in a skate shoe or not. It's just that I'm that talented. I can do it with whatever.
Yeah, 100%, man.
It's just bringing the unique perspective as well. If everybody starts doing it, then it's not unique. You know what I mean? There'll probably been a few kids that started doing that, and now everybody's catching on to it because it's like that's the vibe. That's the vapors. Oh yeah, if I'm doing that, I'm getting all these views. I'm going to get that. I'll become the same as Versace plug and all those guys. And it's like, yeah, but you always remember the originals. Do you know what I mean?
100%, man.
Got to give them, leave them with their shine, you know.
Yeah. Do you think sort of Instagram, sort of obviously filming for Catching 40 plus Catching 40 and Catching 40 plus 1, do you think Instagram kind of took away the, like sometimes obviously, I think sometimes Instagram it's like, you've got a minute, you upload a clip and that's it, like, you know, so it kind of sometimes takes away the value obviously from like a skateboarding video. So for instance,
of course, do you know, there's no way I'm putting anything out on Instagram that's going to be in that video that's coming out, because what's the point? There's no point in doing that because like that way then people see like what you've already done and you see it and there's no impact when you see the video anyway. Just be like, no, you just done the same thing. Maybe I went somewhere different to do it, but it's the same thing. I've seen it before. You want to shock, and you also want to shock yourself, and you also want to show people, I tried. Somebody put this lens on me. I actually have to try and do something that is worthwhile of me having this lens, because there's about 100 other people that deserve to have that lens on them. Who am I? I'm nothing special. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got to like.
So, there you go. Aye, so I mean, yeah, but I mean, like you sort of see it like when I was sort of like when you go to like a big skate spot, sort of like South Bank or like
Hmm.
Macbar,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that like you like people that film tricks for videos, it's like no one
Hmm.
posts it, like they're trying to like
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sure
yeah, yeah.
no
Of course.
one's
Yeah,
no
yeah. We're
one's.
all in contact with each other for that, and we all know what we're doing. That's
Mm-hmm,
that professional aspect. That's what Man Cash is all about. That's what he makes sure, like, nah, you're not going to do this, you're not going to do that. This is what you, because I'll give him an idea and I'll be like, he's like, nah, use that for Instagram. I'm like, oh, and he'll be like, that's actually quite sick. Maybe we'll keep that. We'll do that for the video. So
yeah.
you have these conversations with your filmers, and like they kind of like guide you to what they think would look better on a better
Mm-hmm,
platform.
yeah.
And be like, nah, you can maybe not want to just do that and put that out there. Maybe you'd be like, just hold off and we'll do this and we'll put it in something special.
Mm-hmm. So I remember sort of watching the premiere for Catching 40. There was the one speech you said, when you get to this age, youth is wasted on the young.
Yeah, it's so true. Because even when I was young as well, I was just bumming about, drinking, partying,
Yeah.
not really caring about pushing myself or like still doing it, but like
Mm-hmm.
not having the same mindset of like this is like I'm going to try and do my best every time I'm out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people just you get sucked up in that whole party life and that I'm young, I'll do this, and I'll go, yeah, I'll wait. This will happen tomorrow. Or time doesn't wait for any man. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then you look back and you could have been in your prime and you could have had all that stuff done and been like
100%.
yeah, and I could have been out the head and been on to the next thing instead of being like, oh, I did this, like, I hadn't done it in 10 years and be like, oh, well, I should have done it 10 years ago, but I didn't. And now you're thinking about it and you'll be like, oh, I can do it now, but like, why did I not do it all? Because I didn't care about it then. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't bothered. I was just living my life, doing whatever, and I was still young, immature.
Mm-hmm.
And then people are like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I see it sometimes the guys will go out, they'll do something, and to me, I look at it and I go, they've got this, and they'll just quit on it, and they'll go, nah, I'll just leave it, I'll do it some other time. And you're like, whoa, man, like,
Yeah.
you don't know that. Nobody knows that, what's around the corner.
100%.
Injuries put you out for a long time as well, put you out for life. You know, just things like that you can't just be like, I'm going to 100% into something, but if you really want something, you should be there to do it on that time and just do it there and then. Have it done and be happy with that and then like move on.
Mm-hmm.
And
So,
that's just whatever in life.
yeah. So for the new video that's coming out, what have you got sort of a release date? And do you know what the video is going to be called?
I know what the video is going to be called. Do you know what the video is going to be called yet? Nah, I don't think we're allowed to tell you yet. That's all down to the man because Chiefy's figuring it all out at the end here, and we were going to release it until the COVID pandemic happened. So we wanted to get everybody all in there for a premiere, and we've had to like hold it back. And I don't even really know where we're at with it, with how we're going to release it and what we're going to do. That's the discussions we have to have with everybody else and find out what's the best platform to set it out on.
100%.
Might well be that it's going to be an online premiere. It might well be it'll be an outside. People have been talking about doing it outside, do it at the DIY, proper big screen, have everybody at the DIY. But then with the social distancing rules and all the way we're living now with this new normal, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, I know.
No time soon, so it gives other people chances to throw in extra things in their parks and stuff like that and do stuff. I think
stuff, man.
maybe I don't know.
Because I mean, you'll get like at this time of year, you'll get the car park footage and stuff. And
nobody wants to see a whole video part of car park footage.
I know. I was actually skateboarding last night. It was, do you know, the two boys that I kind of really skateboarded the most. I've skateboarded from the kind of day one. Scott Logan and Jordan Black.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So still skateboard with them. Like we sort of grew up skating with Ian and Stuart Cheng. And we like Scott messaged me on yesterday. He was like, "Here, man, 5 o'clock. Jog down to the Clarkston car park because this is like a rooftop car park." And they've
nice.
What they've done is to prevent the flooding for the shops below. For like they were having bad problems with like drainage and shops were getting flooded when it was wet. So this car park's on top of all these shops. So what they actually done was they built a shelter over the car park and floodlit the shelter. So it was like a covered car park.
No way.
It was floodlit, man. Honestly, you should like.
I'll be down there.
Yeah,
kicked out every car park going about. I'm heading out this way. Like, let's get a bus. Let's go.
Yeah, but
it's getting to that time, isn't it? There's nowhere to go.
Yeah, there's like it's good for flat ground. There's like a sort of ledge, sort of bank.
Yeah, of course.
And there's like a few of the boys that kind of the younger ones that skate there. They put a rail under one of the barriers, so like you can just pull out this rail when you've got like a wee flat.
And there's no distractions in a car park as well. You're there. Sometimes you just go yourself, no distractions. You can learn something new. I've learned so many new tricks being in the car parks, just like unknown. Just be like, I'm going to learn this today. I'm going out to spend my time. I'm unmown. I have to take my time up, not be bored. Go through the usuals, tick them all off. You're warmed up, and then just start training up or like learning something new. And you come up with it in the end. 9 times out of 10, I'll get it like 5 minutes before my phone tells me I need to go to work or something like that. And I'm like, oh God, like I need to get this now before and that's when that different mentality kicks in. Like it's like, oh, this is go time. This is that, you know, last chance saloon stuff. This is the filming stuff, or the battery's running out. The light's about to go. We need to get it right now. And you're just like, okay, the switch goes on in your mind, and you just do it, and it all just clicks. And then you walk away, you're like happy, like, oh, I'm glad, you know, relieved.
Can sleep easy tonight.
Yeah, that's it.
But I mean, it's a good spot in that. But like, I don't know, you might obviously get it with car parks in the town. I've certainly had it with car parks in the town. I've obviously had it with like sort of certain spots around the south side as well. But we that's the second time we've skated that car park. Skated it last night. Skated it like 2 weeks ago with Scott. And the police had just came up and said here, like, we've had, we're not saying it's you, but we've had reports of people throwing stuff off the roof.
They just want you out the car park, so they'll just give you any old excuse.
I know, they're like, we just need to treat everyone the same. Like,
but they can't have you there, and it's the noise. Because if you actually hear the noise coming out from, like, if you go to a session, like, and they're there before you can hear that noise. It's like da-dum, da-dum. And especially during lockdown, there's been nobody about there. Places are dead, there's no traffic, there's hardly any, it's ghost towns. And all you hear is this da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. It's like bombs going off in a car park. You're like, oh my God, this is nuts. No wonder people are coming out, and the hotels complaining across the road and all that, down the stairs and all that. Like, oh, you get that in Glasgow Street, they phone up police because they can hear it from the hotel across the road and stuff. They're like complaining about it. And then the other day we were out at Central and bumped into a few of the kids at Kick About Goma. Me and my mate Keith were out skating down the stairs at Central, went the bank bit, and built up the stairs about 5 minutes before the police came. 7 kids came out to skate for about 5 or 10. So we rolled up there and we skated with them, skated the mani pad, talking to them. And 5 coppers came along and they were like, what's happening, guys? Yeah, you have to be out of here. It's like, you can skate here if you get permission. If you get permission from the NCP, you can skate here fine. But we're just letting you know there's been a lot of trouble, junkies, fights, people stabbing. So it's probably not safe to be around here, guys. And they were really nice about it, and we just went, you know. Just doing their job, and fair enough.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, even last night, and the times that we've actually been skateboarding, like, I think the first time we went there, we went up, and the police, there was like sort of wee guys kicking about. They were obviously, I think it must have been like 13, 14, and they were just sort of messing about, nothing to really do. And then the police came up and they put this big front on in front of all them, and they were like, said to us all, like, "Yous come over here." But like, we weren't obviously associated with them. And then they took the kids' names, and then they came over to us and they were like, we can clearly tell yous aren't like part of that group. And they started taking our names, and they're like, right, okay, do our buffs and stuff like that. And then like obviously found out that I'm like 23, Scott's 22.
Just look at me now, Blair, and they look at me as an old man. I'm not saying anything because these guys that are pulling me are way younger than me, and I'm just like, oh, on you go, can I?
But like, I mean, they said
I pulled the old age pensioner card.
I mean, the first time they were fine with it, the first time they said, they just said here, look, we can see why yous are up here. It's dry, it's under cover, it's floodlit because it was night time at the time, and they just said here, look, we'll take your names, and then they like walked off. So I went down and I said here, look, can we still skateboard here? Because they never really gave us an indication of whether we could or we couldn't. So I went down and I said, can we still skateboard here? We've not really had any sort of formal instruction. And they said,
I would have asked them, I just let them on because they never said no.
I know. Well, they were like that. They were saying like, oh, like, just skate, like, it's fine. But if you just
skateboard is not a crime. Skateboard is not a crime.
Mate, I've got a Santa Cruz t-shirt with that on the,
I know, man.
Brilliant,
so true, though.
But like,
that's what draws us to it as well. That's what draws us to it, though, I think, as well. With these type of people who want to be anti-establishment to some degree, you know. We're not for the system. We're kind of against the system in our own little way, you know.
Yeah.
We're not 100% conformists, you know.
Yeah. But I mean, like, so they just, I said, like, if the wee guys come up again, sort of, you can still, like, just sort of leave and just sort of go up the road sort of thing. So we just kept on skating, and then last night they just came over and they just said, here, look, we need to treat everyone the same. You just can't start skating in the car park. But but like, obviously that sort of links back to the fact that like skateboarding not a crime. You got the anti-establishment people that were like in it from the beginning, Santa Cruz, drinking beer, skating the pins.
That's the thing that attracted us as kids, you know. So to get kicked out of a car park at this age, I just laugh at it, man. It's like it's almost like a badge of honour now, man. You know, I go home and put it on Instagram, going, "Yeah, I get kicked out of the car park, man. What are you guys doing sitting home watching telly? I'm getting kicked out of car parks at 46, man.
Brilliant, man.
I'm living it. I'm living it."
Anyway, Shug, thanks for coming on the show and giving everyone an insight to skateboarding scene in Glasgow. I might see you in the streets at some point, and I look forward
Hopefully,
to all.
good to see you, Blair.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I'm looking forward to see the video coming out.
Yeah, me too. I haven't seen it, so yeah, it's done. It's been lying there for a while. That's sitting bigging up dust. I'm dying to see it myself. I keep saying to them, I want to see this. I need to see this, man. I need to know what I'm not need to do now. If I'm doing something else.
If you have a premiere, I'll try to meet Scott and Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try to get them those two.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll sort of go along to it, man.
Definitely, man.
Definitely.
No worries.
Anyway, mate, all the best. I'll catch you later.
You too. Have a good Christmas, guys.
Man.
See you later.
Bye.